Good day and welcome. On Sunday, 2nd November 2025, Daily Maverick's investigative journalist Pieter-Louis Myburgh published what many may believe are new claims regarding former PRASA CEO Lucky Montana. The report attempts to link Montana's current dispute with SARS to alleged corruption during his time at PRASA.
This is a personal matter. It's got nothing to do with Umkhonto weSizwe. It has nothing to do with my previous life as the CEO of the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, PRASA.
You guys may recall that Myburgh has reported on Montana for several years, including stories about his property portfolio, the so-called toll trains, and other allegations related to PRASA. In recent weeks, there has been a big public dispute between Montana and the South African Revenue Service regarding his tax affairs. SARS held a media briefing detailing aspects of Montana's tax matters, a move that has raised questions, as SARS typically does not publicly discuss individual taxpayers.
The South African Revenue Service, SARS, held a special media briefing on Saturday to address the tax affairs of an individual named Lucky Montana.
Montana responded by hosting his own 2-hour media briefing, where he outlined his side of the dispute in detail. A link to that briefing is included in the video description.
It's as difficult as it is to fight the crocodile in the river. But nature is full of examples where David had defeated Goliath. Commissioner Kees Vetter is a worried man because after today, the eyes of the taxpayer is being opened. We are laying the ground for destroying an evil system which exploits you and I. Taking the lyrics from one of Bob Marley's songs, we'll fight the current corrupt system until until it is totally discredited and permanently abandoned.
It is important to note that many of the allegations raised by Myburgh are not new. They have been previously reported over the years. Critics argue that these claims are being republished in the context of the current tax dispute to give them renewed attention. During the Zondo Commission that was established to investigate allegations into state capture, Pieter-Louis Myburgh, same as Werksman's attorneys, Johan van Logeren and Paul O'Sullivan, were given an opportunity to challenge Montana's evidence and cross-examine him. However, they did not make use of their platform. Instead, they all retreated and opted to not cross-examine.
Chairperson, we're not going to pursue the application.
Okay.
But I'd like to give you the reasons in a very brief statement.
Yeah, do so.
Werksman's has decided not to pursue its application to cross-examine Mr. Montana.
Okay, let's look at this again. So some of them had already applied to the commission to cross-examine Montana, but withdrew their application to cross-examine after Montana's evidence was heard. This is very strange. Yeah, so now look at this. Montana goes and states that this failure to challenge him directly weakens the credibility of the allegations, which makes a lot of sense.
Chair, I mentioned 3 things about Werksman's in my affidavit. The first issue relates to how they were appointed, that they were appointed not only irregularly, but they were appointed fraudulently. And Chair, there are documents, including the Auditor General's report of 2016. I was going to stand up here to say, Werksman, that was issued in 2016. There was another one in 2017. Werksman didn't challenge those reports by the Auditor General, a Chapter 9 institution. And in fact, I quote in detail in my own application, in my own affidavit. And actually, I'm shocked to hear someone standing here and saying there was no evidence. I provided even letters, including detailed emails, that shows that this legal firm that claims to be fighting corruption in the country is at the heart of corruption. Their appointment is in fact the most corrupt. So that's the first issue, Chair. And that is why I was waiting. And Werksmen know that they couldn't sustain this lie. The second issue Chair I've mentioned, again, based on evidence, I've said this legal firm was not only paid monies, but companies that are contracted to them, not contracted to PRASA, have been paid monies. I provided, so I was waiting for them to challenge that.
Montana's testimony before the commission included a breakdown of his property acquisitions, explaining how they were financed through an ABSA facility, and addressing questions around the PRASA rolling stock procurement, including the toll trains controversy.
Desperate attempt to link a whole range of things. Yesterday I say it is you are guilty by association. Now, the house has been sold, Chair. Now, if I sell, I may have different reasons why I sell the house. The house that I sold was financed by ABSA, and I provided all my properties. I provided my bank statements, and that is why Mr. Soni, Chair, wanted us to deal with 4 properties and not all my properties, precisely because it was aimed at denying the fact that there are proceeds from this which are mine. I'm entitled to them because it's my property. Once I pay the bank, the rest of the money belongs to me. I can invest it as I wish. So that is the first thing. And I think that if there was no sale, there was a sale created in the air. There was no actual sale. Now, if the sale has happened, anybody can attach their own motive why Montana sold this property. It has happened. It's there. It's fair. I want somebody to say there was not such a property transaction. That's one thing.
According to Montana, his evidence dispelled many of the claims that had circulated in the media. He maintains that the allegations have been repeatedly raised despite being addressed during the commission proceedings. Furthermore, documents used by Myburgh and others to support their allegations against Montana were reportedly sourced from material submitted by Paul O'Sullivan. You'll remember that in 2016, Paul O'Sullivan opened a case at the Brooklyn police station in Pretoria against Montana. So, there is a 22-page affidavit, or a sworn statement, by O'Sullivan that was clearly made available to Pieter-Louis Myburgh. Because if you look closely at the contents of the affidavit, you will realize that it is the same information that Myburgh himself relies on for these allegations he makes against Montana. The police found no substance in these allegations by Paul O'Sullivan, and in fact many people found them to be comical. Even Verexman attorneys that are vehemently anti-Montana did not believe the allegation by Paul O'Sullivan. This is an extract from an investigative report by Verexman attorneys that dismisses the allegations by O'Sullivan. It's almost as if you see Verexman attorneys that have very close ties to Paul O'Sullivan distancing themselves from Paul O'Sullivan, but then again, I guess they thought or believed that this piece of information would not come to light. Well, at least to the broader public. The reason why Paul O'Sullivan laid a charge at Brooklyn Police Station is because Montana ordered PRASA in April 2015 to cancel the contract of SA Fence and Gate for its failure to meet contractual obligations. Montana ordered that PRASA should recover all the monies paid to SA Fence and Gate. O'Sullivan was contracted by Jeff Greiling, owner of SA Fence and Gate, to help them fight against Montana, claiming that PRASA favored their opponents, more specifically Siangena Technologies, which defeated SA Fence and Gate for another big contract, the ISAMS contract. It's for this reason that Paul O'Sullivan manufactured his stories against Montana and tried to link Montana to Siangena Technologies. O'Sullivan found a willing partner in Pieter-Louis Myburgh to fight his battles by publishing negative stories about Montana from Paul O'Sullivan. This also explains Myburgh's interest in the 4.5 billion ISAMS contract and PRASA. It has also been noted that the former Deputy Transport Minister, the Director General of the Department of Transport, and the chairman of the PRASA board stated publicly during interviews that the toll trains narrative was not true and just nonsense, a point Montana says is overlooked in ongoing reporting.
A 40-minute trip to demonstrate the suitability of the Afro 4000 diesel locomotives. 20 were procured from a Spanish manufacturer at a cost of 600 million rands. 13 are being tested. At issue, media reports suggesting the locomotives are too high, posing a serious safety hazard. But PRASA says the gap between the locomotive's roof and the minimum contact wire complies with the safety regulations.
I'm raising the issue of accountability. If PRASA got it wrong, PRASA must say we got it wrong. But if the media got it wrong, it must also have the same courage to say we got it wrong. And that courage is not there.
You guys will remember that at the Zondo Commission, Lucky Montana was the first person to talk about Paul O'Sullivan and how he is connected to the criminal underworld and the drug cartel in the country. Montana also told Zondo that he will demonstrate to the commission on how this network works when he is led on his own evidence. Well, with such critical piece of information that could assist the commission, one can only wonder why the then Deputy Chief Justice decided to close the commission without allowing Montana an opportunity to expose this network. Zondo will have to tell us why he did that.
Links to the videos and relevant commission proceedings are included in the description so you guys can review the material and form your own opinions. A follow-up video will be released soon, focusing specifically on the media briefings held by Montana and SARS. Thank you for watching. Until next time.